What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of On the Mic with Michael Flix. Very happy to be back. Pardon me. I got the brand new coach for El Camino High School, man. My guy Derick Jones. How you doing today, fam?
Yes, sir. I'm doing good, baby.
Good to have you here, man. Made the drive down from Oceanside.
Yeah.
Was it a cool drive or what?
Yeah, it was straight. It was real smooth, man. I had to come through.
I hear it. I appreciate you, man.
Yes,
man. What you been up to this summer?
Just,
other than getting the job, what you been up to?
Yeah, I just been just trying to get locked in.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Just at the gym all the time, trying to get to know the kids. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And obviously doing like tournaments here and there, last minute. Luckily, I got the job when I did, and I was able to get in, into some last minute tournaments, and kind of get a feel for the guys, you know what I mean, before we went on that little AAU break, and I just let them do that stuff with their teams, did some weights and workouts, open gyms and stuff, and then, that's pretty much it, man.
Had you been around the program and the guys that you have very much before getting the job?
Nah, I only knew about, like 3 of them. I actually met Isaiah when I got the job because he was playing for Coastal, and I was still kind of at Palomar, so I went to go watch their practice, and then I introduced myself to him, and I actually know his uncle. His uncle played when I was at El Camino.
Oh, nice.
Gino.
Nice.
Yeah, so that was cool to meet him like at that time, and then I already knew Peya and Yuan because they played for Coastal, and I coached with them for a little bit. Yeah.
That's what's up.
But all the other guys, I didn't really know too much of them.
I hear it. It's got to be interesting. How does it feel, man? It's got to be a real prideful feeling to be able to go back and coach where you played at.
Man.
Because you were a player over there, like a real player over there. So to come back and coach, how's that feel?
Yeah, it's surreal, man. I'm kind of like leveling down, you know what I mean, at this point. But like when it first happened and the first few months of it happening and all the congrats and all that stuff, you know what I mean, it was just like, man, this is crazy. It's crazy just how fast things happen, especially coming from, Palomar. And I always used to talk with John Hotelling about coaching high school, and I'm like, man, I'm not ever going to coach high school.
Really?
Because before I got to Palomar, I was at Mission Vista.
Okay.
And that was just...
Were you the head coach there?
No, I was an assistant.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't think I knew that.
Yeah, I was assistant there for like 2 quick years. That went by fast too, but it was a good time. But it was very just like a shock to go to that type of school, because they were like D4, D3, you know what I mean, and not too many athletes, more like a school for like
academics.
Kids, academics. So it was like, just trying to pull from that, population was tough. And then the first year I was there, it was really bad and we struggled. But the second year kind of got better, And then I got that call from Coach O'Neill, like, you want to coach at Palomar? I'm like, oh, yeah.
Nice.
Like, let's go. So after that, I'm talking with John. I'm like, man, I'm not ever going back to high school. And then he's like, what if it was El Camino? And I'm like, at that time, I was like, dang, I didn't think about that, but it just happened like that, and I was like, yeah, that's probably the only place I would, and sure enough.
So you was comfortable, you was happy just chilling out at Palomar.
Oh man,
I don't want to say chilling out, that's doing your job coaching it, but you were happy being at Palomar.
Oh yeah, JC basketball is just outstanding, and of course just playing there, I already knew that, but once I started coaching it, and then really, from that perspective, and just continuing to see, like the juggernauts of JC and playing against them, and seeing guys move on and come back as well, because there was like a bunch of guys that I played against in JC that came back to coach. You know what I mean? So it's just a good community JC basketball is.
That's dope.
Yeah.
That's dope. I've always enjoyed like watching and being around the JUCO culture here in San Diego. I feel like it's of course there's talent everywhere and it's different, San Diego to LA to the Bay Area. And I've actually been around all 3, the Bay Area, LA, and San Diego. And I mean, obviously I'm from here, so maybe I'm a little bit biased. But I like the, like I said, there's dope players everywhere, but I appreciate the JUCO culture here in San Diego a lot.
Right. It's different, man. It's different. Like I said, it's just like a bunch of juggernaut coaches and players, and just every year well, the first year we didn't make it to the tourney, but the second year we got into the tourney, and I'm just looking at all the teams, and it's just like, man, it's so stacked. So stacked, full of good coaches and good players.
So for you, and we're gonna get into your whole story in a minute, but so for you being from Oceanside, there was never any thought to go to Mira Costa. It was always Palomar for you.
Actually, it's funny because that like still lingers on every time I see Conahan. He's just like,
really,
man, because he actually was the only coach to recruit me.
Wow,
it's funny. He's the only one to recruit me, but I was just so. My ego was just so big, and he's like, I'll just have you red shirt, this, and that, and I'm just like, red shirt, like, I'm ready to play right now, you know what I mean? So I just, kind of backed off of that and then just started doing dumb stuff, you know? And then a few years later, I got a call from Ray Johnson, and he's just like, what are you doing? And I'm just like, nothing. I was just out there just doing stupid stuff, right? And then he's just like, yeah, just go down the street to Palomar. And my dad had actually moved to San Marcos, like walking distance. So I walked in there, and then they're just like, who's this guy, whatever. And then I ended up at Palomar.
That's dope.
Yeah.
That's dope. So like I said, let's get into everything. You're from Oceanside, born and raised.
Yes.
What's it like? I know a little bit because I went to high school in Escondido, and I had a lot of friends at Oceanside, would party in Oceanside a lot. So I've been in Oceanside. But for those that don't know, and especially people like deeper into San Diego, they have a certain perception. Almost like, almost like how the people in LA have a certain perception of San Diego. Right. I feel like the people that live in deep San Diego have a certain perception of Oceanside.
Yeah.
So what was your experience like growing up in Oceanside?
Yeah, so that's like a good perspective to see it from, because I didn't really look at it like that because I'm in the middle of it. But until I started, playing ball in high school and junior college and stuff, and then just seeing like the demographics of the whole, the five, and how it goes from, Oceanside to Carlsbad to Torrey Pines and all that, you know what I mean? Then it gets down in here, and it's like the way that San Diego is, how it's like a big melting pot. Oceanside is like a tiny, like San Diego or LA. It's like that because of the military base. It just, you have every race there. You know what I mean? And then it's like broken up into races, obviously, with the gangs and everything like that. So yeah, it was tough for me, but at the same time it was kind of, I don't know, it's kind of like breaking a barrier, I felt like, because like my whole family is from like the Crip side of the gangs, and where we stayed at was like a whole bunch of Bloods, which is the Samoans in Oceanside, and then you obviously got the SAs or whatever, so it was just like I was in the mix of that. But the fact that my older family, like, they knew everybody, it was kind of like I was good. You know what I mean? They kind of like paved the way for me to just be me. And people tested me and you know what I mean, fights and all that stuff, and even like tried to get me in gangs and everything like that. But it just happened to where I was able to maneuver my way through. And just basketball, my dad used to play, and then all my uncles and stuff, they played, so I would go play. And then I just caught on to that, and it was like back and forth, which is something that I look back at and I'm like, man, if I would have just stayed with hoop, I would have, you know what I mean, who knows, I maybe would have been able to reach my potential and my dreams. But not saying that where I'm at now is not cool, but it was just, you know what I mean, balancing just like streets, basketball, streets, and just it was crazy. But definitely wouldn't want to be from anywhere else, wouldn't want to change it or anything like that.
Everyone, well, all the people that I met, and I know pretty much people that are from the same kind of, I don't want to say the same circle, but more or less the same walk of life, the people that I know from Oceanside.
Right.
But everyone has that pride. Everyone from Oceanside has that pride of Oceanside. Man. I never forget, actually, I had my only experiences, because I moved to Escondido in 7th grade, and I started playing Pop Warner football in 8th grade. And so that was really I had been to Oceanside, like my barbershop was in Oceanside, but I hadn't really spent much time there. Or really hung out with people from Oceanside. My first time being around people from Oceanside was when I started playing Pop Warner football.
Okay.
And the way they came out to support, like throwing up the mad big and just going crazy. I'm like, it gave me LA vibes, but really it did, because like all my family's from LA. Right. When I saw that was what it made me think of. You know what I'm saying? And that was my first experience with it. And just since I've gotten to know people from Oceanside, everyone has that extreme pride to be from there.
Exactly. It's like that. It's like I always think it's just like San Diego, the Bay, LA, all put together like in a, you know what I mean? Like it's just like everything just trickled down into Oceanside, you know what I mean? But yeah, everybody always says that, like, I'll wear my Oceanside stuff, even at work and stuff, and they tease me and stuff, like, man, you Oceanside people just think you guys are the only people on the planet. Just like,
that's dope though, man. I love seeing it. Anybody that has that type of pride from where they're from, but just, you know, I have certain connections to Oceanside, so when I see it, I recognize them, like, that's dope.
Yeah.
That's dope, you know what I'm saying?
It's cool.
And you said, you know, it was all kind of like, not really walking the line, but there was a pull from both sides, basketball and the streets. It seems like basketball always had like more of a pull for you. So when did you start taking it serious and really like, nah, I'm gonna do this basketball thing?
So when I was in 4th grade, my pops had went to like a parent-teacher conference, and the teacher was like, oh man, your son's so good at basketball, this and that. And he was like, oh, for real? You know. And then Sherman, who rest in peace, he was a coach in the North County area, and he knew my dad and got me into NJB. So when I was in 4th grade, started playing or whatever, and then 8th grade, by that time we had like formed a little solid group of you know, basketball players and teams and stuff. So after that, like going into El Camino, Ray Johnson had like, I met him. And then I walked into the gym, I seen the cat on the wall, I'm like, oh man, I'm coming here. You know what I mean? Like, and that's when they had Michael Watson and all those guys. I'm just like, oh yeah, this is it. You know what I mean? So after that, he started taking me to camps in Dago, and I met J.D. Luster and Todd Doxey, rest in peace, and like Malcolm Thomas, Tyrone Shelley, all those guys. So after that, it was just like, man, just playing with those dudes, and then just seeing, you know, how serious, and I was just like, man, this is, you know, I think I'm finna do this, you know. So, and it's just took off from there. Nice.
Well, were you playing varsity as a freshman at El Camino?
No, not even close, and it's crazy.
That's way more common today, isn't it? Oh my
gosh!
I feel like you had to be really big and super good to be a freshman on varsity back. And I graduated 06. I'm only a year ahead of you.
Right.
And I feel like back then it was super. Even for like it was kind of normal for a freshman to be on the JV. You know what I'm saying? But now it's almost like if you not on varsity, you're not even.
But low key, that was crazy, because like Marquise Navarre, who was one of the best to ever play at El Camino, he played JV his freshman year and then got moved up, you know, during the playoffs and stuff, and he was like the best and one of the best in the county as a freshman. So it was like nobody was even thinking of varsity as a freshman. It was just like, man, like it was crazy for him to make JV.
Yeah.
And then just the guys that was on varsity, I was just like, there's no way. They were just huge. Like, Justin Armstrong was like 6'6". They had Craig Austin that year, 6'10". Gino was like 6'9". They were just, it was low-key like a D1 basketball team. I think 5, maybe 6 or 7 went D1. James Daniels went to Brown. Justin Armstrong went to... I think he was in the Ivy League too. I forgot what school. And then Greg Sprinks went to Navy, Gino USD. It was just crazy. So there was just no way.
It was so much more good back then. Like even I played against remember Kenny Lawson went to Vista. He played JV basketball. I remember seeing him play JV. And by his senior year, he was on the All-American ballot. You know what I'm saying? So it was just
playing
different.
Pro,
back then,
getting paid overseas.
Yeah, big time. He's been a very, very good pro for a long time, for sure. For sure. I remember he dunked on us 13 times, bro. He was 6'10". Our tallest guy was like 6'5", I think, bro. He dunked on us 13 times.
It was like that. It was like that with him too, especially like.
It was so like, and we'll change subjects in a minute, but it was so. I remember like me and JD Luster, we graduated the same year, and I remember our JV.
He's my year.
Yeah.
JD.
Yeah.
07.
Yeah. Correct. So that's right. I'm sorry. You're right.
Yeah.
So actually, my sophomore year, I'm playing JV, and our JV and our varsity was in a tournament at East Lake High.
Yeah.
And I remember on the bus ride down, I didn't even know Hoover was going to be there, but I remember on the bus ride down, a kid on my JV team was talking about JD. He said he seen him, I think, at Slam Magazine or something.
Yeah.
He was like, "Have you heard of this guy, JD Luster? He goes to Hoover." I was like, I've heard his name a couple times, but I never seen him play. And just coincidentally, Hoover was in that tournament too. We walk in, he's on the floor. And he, as soon as we walk in the gym, he put it between his legs, throw it over his head, behind his back. And the dude on my team was like, "I told you, bro." Like, and he like showed me like the next day. He brought the magazine and was like, "Yeah, he's supposed to be like the best freshman in the nation."
Right.
Yeah, and it was like you had to be like that to be get on varsity as a freshman.
Yes. Yes. Him and Todd, I think, were playing.
Yep.
Yep.
Todd was super good too.
Super nice.
We actually, it's funny enough that was my first experience with JD and Todd, because I played my last high school basketball game against them. We met them in the first round of the playoffs. Okay. And we had to play at Hoover, and they beat us in their gym.
Yeah.
They ended my high school career, man.
Okay.
It's a great
That's
game.
That's a good way to go out.
Oh yeah, they went on to win a championship too. So I mean, we lost to the champs. So
exactly. That always feels good. You're like, we lost to the champs, we good.
Exactly. Yeah. How did it feel for you? Like once you what year did you make the varsity team?
I actually made it my junior year.
How did it
JV?
I'm sorry.
No, you good. And then I was planning on moving up the whole season, just working, and then I ended up not getting moved up, and I was crushed. I was crushed. So, because all my boys was on varsity, you know what I mean? Like, I hung out with like John McMichael and Marquise Navarre and all those guys, and we would play, you know what I mean? So I was like, this my year. I'm going to get moved up at least at playoffs. You know what I'm saying? But I didn't, and then that summer, I just went nuts. Like, I probably literally played every single day.
Nice.
At 24. Back then, it wasn't, like, too many open runs like they're on now, or AAU. It hadn't even, like, you know, not until my senior year kind of cracked off, but my junior year was just playing everywhere.
Yep. And at El Camino, for those that, I'm sure a lot of people know, but for those that don't know, El Camino has always had like a tradition of having really, really good guards.
Right.
Were you excited to join that tradition, or were you like kind of nervous to kind of like pick up that torch, or how was that for you? Or was it something that you didn't think about?
Yeah, it wasn't something I thought about, because I was always playing with Marquise Navarre. Like, his people and my people are close. So one day I just went over to their house, barbecue, regular stuff. It was actually over by Mira Costa, and he was outside hooping, like on some Jesus Shuttleworth stuff, just by himself, just hooping. So I go out there and I'm like, he's like, "You hoop?" I'm like, "Yeah, I hoop." So we start getting it in, and he was just busting me, and I'm just like, "What the hell?" So, you know, like, but I've always been like, you know, I want to compete. So I'm just playing. Then, like, ever since that day, we just always played, and, you know, I was always playing. So I always just knew, you know what I mean? Like, I always knew, like, I'm about to be on varsity. I'm about to be nice. I'm about to kill. Like, that was just, yeah. But it wasn't until, you know, you look back at it and you just like, man, even like after me, the guards that came through, like, just like top notch. Even recently, like Kiave and Tyson, Eric Pierce, and all those guys, it's just like the list.
I like Tyson's game a lot. I love how calm he always plays and how poised he always is. I love watching him play.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And Eric Pierce, he came. We had like a few open runs. It was top, like Will Christmas and Eric Pierce and Kiave. Some cats from Santa Fe Christian, like Aiden, some of those guys, just top notch hoop. But Eric Pierce was just like, man, that dude was all around. Because I hadn't seen him play, you know, in a while, but he was just going by people on the catch with ease, dunking, just three ball was good. It was just like, man, it's, yeah.
And now, while you were at El Camino, you were being coached by Coach Ray, who at the time was, I don't know, does he still have the record? At the time, he was the winningest coach in San Diego.
Yeah. He still has a record. When I was there, I want to say It was 700.
It was like 736 or something like that.
Yeah.
I want to say something. It was in the 700s.
Yeah, yeah. He had cracked some milestone when I was there against Fallbrook. It's still in the gym too. I don't know exactly what number, but yeah, he was up there by then when I was there.
What was it like playing for him?
It was like a lot of people ask me that, and I kind of say, like it was just regular, like yeah, because I don't think I've ever had a bad coach. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like I've always played on pretty decent teams, and the coaches have been good. Like my freshman coach was good, JV coach was good, and then when I got up to Ray, it was just like that aura. He just has that aura of just a legend, and it was just super smooth. And his assistants Phil and Rory, you know what I mean? They just had a tight knit just program running to where Ray was like the overseer, you know what I mean, and Phil was like putting in all the stuff, and yeah, it just felt like a top-notch program playing for them and practicing, and you know what I mean.
I can imagine.
Yeah, just real smooth, not nothing stressful or anything. You know what I mean. Just getting to what we needed to do. Yeah,
I get that vibe from the Torrey Pines program.
Bro,
I get that vibe from the Torrey. I mean, everybody knows how well they do things over there, but I get that vibe from them whenever. Not even just like. Even when they come in as a group to watch a game, to kind of like scout somebody that they're going to play,
right?
You just get that energy from them. Like everybody's where they're supposed to be. Everybody's doing what they're supposed to be doing. And especially even more so during the games.
Right.
Even more so. The coach, he gets loud from time to time, but he's more so putting people in position and directing people. And it's his assistant coaches that are doing more of the rah-rah. And however any coaching staff goes about their job, it's, you know what I'm saying? I'm not having no knock on it, but just whenever you're watching Torrey Pines and the way they go about things, it's like that's a top-notch program right there.
Man, you're right. And not until they were playing in the spring league at Palomar, I really got to, I was doing the clock or whatever. We would have to work the games. And I would just peek in the huddles, you know what I mean, and see how the coaches were. And Coach Olive was just, man, it was crazy. I hadn't seen nothing like it, you know what I mean, because Johnson had, that good demeanor, but he was still, like, you know what I mean, just on you. But Olive, like, one time at a time, I don't know, just because it was spring league maybe, but he was just so patient and calm and just like, we're fine, you know what I mean, just make sure we're making our cuts and this and that. And I was just like, man, it was almost like a Phil Jackson, and I always trip out on that because I watch, D1 college ball a lot, and I see the coaches and the Calipars and all them, and they're just like, and then like you watch when Phil coached, and he's just leg up, just like, you know what I mean? And it's just like, I've even tried to do some games like that, like just to see how it feels, because I'm kind of in the game, you know what I mean, passionate or whatever, but just to sit back and watch and see like that, and it's a whole different thing, but at the same time, it's kind of like they say, your players are going to mirror you, like reflect you. And, some of those coaches, their players play under their poise. They're not all rattled, and you know what I mean? But it's interesting to see the coaching styles, but seeing John Olive in that huddle was something different.
And you say you saw him in the spring tournament at Palomar, and you were working the tournament. Was that when you were a player?
That's when I was a player.
Okay.
Right.
So were you peeking in the huddle because you always knew you wanted to coach one day, or you were just kind of curious about things?
I kind of had, I've always had that kind of personality of coaching, and O'Neal would tell me that he was like, when you played here, I knew you were going to coach, because I've always been able to, talk to guys. Not until I went to Palomar was the first time I played point guard. Because I was a shooting guard at El Camino the whole time, shooting guard. And then when I got to Palomar, I had to play the point guard, and, I had to start directing people, you know what I mean, and things like that. And he would always say that, and I just felt like, I've always had that kind of coach's, mind, you know what I mean. But I never really was like, yeah, I'm going to go here, and I'm going to be a coach, and this and that. But it's... At first, I used to think, like being a player was way better, but now when you coach, it's kind of like, it's kind of the same, but it's just, it's great.
For someone that's had an opportunity to watch you play both in high school and in college, and it played against you and watch you playing like some men's leagues and stuff. I've seen you play a lot of basketball. Mm-hmm. You're someone that like right away, like watching you play, you could tell that you have like a deeper understanding for the game right away. You're not there's a lot of point guards that are, I don't want to say a lot, but there's some point guards that they're very skilled and they're talented, and you know they can get to the rim, and they know where guys, they know how do I say this? They know what they're doing and they know what to do. But then there's other guards, which I think you're one of them, where like it's just like a deeper understanding. You know how to pass guys open. You know where guys are going to be. You know what to do in given situations. Right. And it's something that me and my brother Stefan, we talk about a lot. Like we'll say like, and this I'm not necessarily comparing guys to them, but I'll say like how Russell Westbrook, he'll average 10 assists. And no disrespect, I think Russell's great. He'll average 10 assists. But his 10 assists don't look like Chris Paul's 10 assists. Right. You know what I'm saying? And no disrespect. How you're productive is how you're productive.
Facts.
But I feel like Russell Westbrook is more like downhill. He's going to make the defense collapse. And now everyone's here, so it's easy to find the next guy.
Right.
But Chris Paul, he's going to be dribbling right here with only one defender in his face. And he's going to throw somebody open. You'll be like, how did he do that?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And it's just, I always talk about there's a difference in point guards. Productivity is productivity. And I'm not knocking it, but it's, in my opinion, there's a level to it for sure.
For sure. That's, yeah. And that's why I think I feel like I'm an underrated passer, because a lot of people just look at me as a scorer, mm-hmm. you know, off first just because, you know, I can shoot a little bit. Mm-hmm. But you're absolutely right. Like, I do really think the game and think people to get open. And, you know, I love pick and rolls. And it's funny you say Chris Paul, because that's who I watch. That's who I really started watching when I started coaching. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And where he was passing the ball, who was open, and why he was. You mm-hmm. know what I mean? And Luka is like the guy I'm watching now, mm-hmm. who are making those similar passes. You know, when the guy is tagging the roller and the other guy's lifting and is, you know, here, or if somebody's helping, and then he just zings it to the corner, and it's just like, it's just outstanding. And mm-hmm. that's like the type of basketball I love to watch and play. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Man, that makes a lot of sense. That makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
Now, you graduated high school in 2007, and you started at Palomar in 2013, or was it 2012?
2010.
2010.
10-11.
Yeah?
My freshman year was 10-11, and then I came back and played 12-13. Mm-hmm. Or 13-14. One of those two. I forget. But yeah.
What was the reason for the gap between 07 and 2010?
It's funny you say that, because I just had a meeting with my players today about that, about grades.
Okay.
Because that was my problem in high school, and it followed me, right? Because I just, you know, we're creatures of habits, and I just really didn't have good habits in school. Mm-hmm. And Palomar, same thing. It's funny, though, because I had to make up some credits to get back on the court, mm-hmm. and I got damn near all A's.
Nice.
And it was just like,
congrats, bro.
I appreciate that. Yeah, that was the first time, and it was an accelerated class. Mm-hmm. You know, it was mm-hmm. just like 4 weeks or whatever. I had to make up like 3 classes, and I just knocked them out and was locked in because I wanted to get back. Mm-hmm. So, but then my sophomore year kind of just like slacked off, and, you know, still dealing with, like, it never left, and it's still, you know, here, you know what I mean? But, like, you know, stuff on the other side, mm-hmm. just like, you know, in there, just distractions and whatever. And then I definitely wanted to play after, but I ended up having my twin boys, so that kind of just, you know, gave me a reality check, and mm-hmm. then got into coaching.
Yeah, I definitely, I tell people all the time, man, you definitely gotta, not tell people, players and students all the time, it's definitely important to build those good habits, man. I heard it a lot, you know, obviously from your parents and your coaches and your teachers and stuff like that. And you think because you found success in certain areas that, like, it was like, man, I could. So, like, if you know you've been slacking off all semester and your teacher give you a packet of work to do, it's like, I know I could bang all this work out.
Right.
And I could get the grade I need, so I'm not really tripping. And so, like, you kind of, me anyway, I took that approach with a lot of things. I was always, even in college, I'd have, like, 6-page papers due, and I'd know for 6 weeks that they do. Right. I'd literally write it in 2 days. And I'd usually get a good grade. And so I would always take that mentality into a lot of things and be like, maybe I think other people might need good habits. I could bang my stuff out in a couple of days and I'll be fine.
Right.
But then you get older and you realize like, nah, I should have built those habits.
Exactly.
Like, even certain things that I'm experiencing now in my professional life, I'm like, man, I should have. My dad was right. He talking about building them habits.
Exactly. Because like it's still, and with me, it's that procrastination. You know what I mean? And I still working on it. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Lifelong. I'm still, trying to discipline myself, and even more. You know what I mean? Now that I got this job, it's like, man, I really have to move different. Mm-hmm. I've always moved different just because, I wanted to hoop. So it was just like, I had to, you know what I mean? I would have my little fun, but then, you know what I mean? I'm trying to get my rest because I got to hoop tomorrow. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But, yeah, definitely trying to lock in, reading a lot of books and everything, trying to get that discipline really on lock.
That's what's up. Same here.
Yeah.
A lot of self-help books for me, man. Lots of
That's me, bro.
Yeah.
5 a.m. Think and Grow Rich. Mm-hmm. Another one I just got is that Atomic Habits.
Okay.
Yeah, that one's really good. And then there's another one that I go to a lot. Oh yeah, it's Spiritual Laws of Success.
Spiritual Laws of Success.
Yeah, it's a real short one, but it's really good.
I like that. I like the title of that one.
Yeah,
that's dope. You know what along with self-help books, one thing that's helped me a lot is like the people that I admire. Like if they have an autobiography, I'm like Charlemagne. Yeah. Charlemagne the guy who's on the radio. Okay. Jalen Rose, Kevin Hart. And there was a few others, but those are like the 3 or 4 that I've read most recently. And I just like look at like some of like, and especially like these people that I've been a fan of for a long time, and I've watched them grow to where they are now. And it's like you can admire that growth, and they put it in a book, so it's like I gotta get my hands on it. Yeah, for sure.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yep. Yeah.
You were able to you were on the championship team at Palomar, right? The conference championship team. I
was not.
No.
So that's another thing. Okay. That like right now I'm just like, man, it's crazy that I'm back in this because I never won CIF at EC either, and it's like every year after they win, and I'm just like I'm crushed. You know what I mean? It's just like just that because that year, it's funny. It's literally the year after my freshman year they won it, not my freshman year. I think it was the second year. It was the year before I came back. Mm-hmm. They won it with Junior and Joe Vaz and Nate and all those guys. And I played that summer, and we killed.
I think that's why I thought you were on the team.
Yeah, I played that summer, and man, you could never say if, but if I was on that team, we might have won state. Mm-hmm. And Chris Gorman was supposed to be on that team too, another El Camino alumni. It was NAIA championship, MVP, all that. But we played that summer and we just ran through everybody, and then I didn't get my classes in time, so then I had to sit out that season. Then I came back, and then we didn't win. Then the season after with Devin Riley, Jeremy Franklin, they won it. And I'm just like, oh my gosh. And a lot of people like Ann Bolton and John Hotel, they're like, you ain't never put a banner up.
That's tough.
I was just like,
That's tough.
But yeah,
I was just talking to Billy about that, man. I didn't get to hang a banner as a player neither, man. I got to help put two of them up as a coach, but I didn't get to win one as a player. It still feels good as a coach though, just walking in and being able to see something that's always going to be there. Still feels good as a coach though. So I mean, you still got a chance to hang a banner
exactly. Too. That's why I'm like, thank you God. Here I go. Yep.
And so your whole time playing at Palomar, there was never any talks at that time with Coach O'Neal or any of the staff there about coming back as a coach. It was just playing.
Yeah, it was just playing. Just I was still at that time focused on, obviously trying to go pro somewhere overseas or whatever, go to a 4-year or whatever. So it wasn't really talking about a coach or nothing, but it happened at the.
Like I said, he saw it on you. Like I said, right away, like watching you play, you just like I said, you're one of those players that's like he plays a little differently. He understands it a little differently.
I'm just super cerebral with the game, and I'm up all night. I'm up all night watching. I watch reruns of D1 championships and looking at plays and sets and all that type of stuff. I love film. Film is my that's my stuff.
Nice.
Love film, bro. Love it.
So as an assistant, I don't want to, everyone's job I'm sure is a little bit different, but as an assistant at Palomar, what were some of your responsibilities there?
So the first year, actually, Coach Ogden, the legendary coach from Carlsbad, was the head assistant. And at that time, I was just soaking up game from him and O'Neal, you know what I mean? Obviously, I already knew O'Neal, but Ogden, you know, I was under him, got a chance to, you know, see him in a different light, not competing with him on the, you know what I mean? So just picking up a lot of stuff he did, and I was just like seeing, I'm like, man, that's why Carlsbad played like this, you know what I mean? And then after that year, he ended up stepping down, and then that's when I became the head assistant, and then I was in charge of everything, so practices and offense and stuff, and O'Neal was, you know, like the overseer and everything, and, you know, teaching me stuff along the way, which I'm definitely going to be using, you know what I mean? Being with Johnson and O'Neal, just, you know, putting all that stuff together, making it my own. But yeah, for those 2 years, I was just running the offense and, you know, just getting in, you know, running everything. And the first year I was head assistant, COVID happened. Well, it wasn't out yet, but I believe it was COVID, because we got sick as I never felt like that in my life, me and O'Neal. And he got it really bad, and he had to sit out for 10 games.
Yikes. Like
he couldn't get to the gym or anything. So I ended up being the head coach, and that was I just had a blast doing that. And then he came back, we went into the playoffs, and he kind of just was like, look, I'm back, but just do your thing. So we went to the first round of playoffs at Citrus, and we were up 5, bro, with like 30 seconds left. And I'm just like, man, this is big time. And 3 fouls in a row. 3 fouls. We missed our free throw, which we should have hit, but they called 3 fouls in a row, bro. And the last one, we were tied, and dude gets the rebound. It's like 0.7, 0.8. I'm thinking it's over. He dribbles the ball and trips over our big dude's foot and just throws it, and they called a foul. And I'm like, oh my goodness. Hit the free throws, done. So then now I'm really like, oh man, I gotta come back to this. So then John Hotelling comes back that next year. So we kind of share responsibilities, because he coached me when I was there. So I did the offense, but he was still, you know, like running the practices. We were just like, you know, feeding off of each other. And then, yeah, we ended up going to the playoffs again, first round, but this time we had a home game.
Nice.
And we were up, I want to say we were almost up 20, and lost it at the end to Cypress at the crib. And I beat myself up to this day. I'm like, man, I should have gave it to Chris, you know what I mean? But it's like,
yeah, right.
That's stuff with coaches is just like, you never know, you know what I mean? But yeah, we ended up turning it over like, I want to say like 4 or 5 seconds left, and we were up 3, and they came down, and dude just threw it up, went into overtime, and then they just got hot. You know, when teams come back, you know what I mean, it goes overtime, it's just like, oh yeah, it's over, you know what I mean, y'all let us come back. And we had kind of, you know, ran out of gas, and they won. So yeah,
that's tough.
Yeah,
that's tough. What's it like? Because I've spent a little bit of time around them, just because I went to Palomar and I was around the gym all the time, sat in on a few practices all the time. I think O'Neal's an amazing coach. The way he speaks the game and the way he describes, like how like teaching certain things to players, the way he like talks through it, is amazing to me. I've only sat in on a couple practices, but I was like, this dude is a really, really good coach. And I knew that just because I had friends that played and the way they would talk about him. But just like I said, sitting in on his practices, like the way he describes the game is really, really dope. What's it like? What was it like being around him on the day-to-day?
It was definitely different as a player, it was new because, like I said, Ray was like that. He just had that demeanor and was very different style of coaching. Kind of almost like Ray was almost like you were a pro. Like, that's how he ran his practices. That's how he treated you, this, and that. But O'Neal treated you like you don't know nothing. You think you know something, but you don't know nothing about basketball. You know, and that perspective of it is humbling, but at the same time, it challenges you, and it just brings out the best. You know what I mean? Because you're just, you know, you're competing with your team, you're competing with him, you're competing with the time. It's just, you're always competing, and that's something that I think he's really good at, just the way he structures his practices. And it's just always competing. And then his best attribute, I feel like, is off the court. He just had tons of stuff off the court, just, you know, just simple things though, you know, just, you know, weighing yourself in every day, you know, for like just little jobs and stuff just to keep you on your toes. And then he always has little sayings and quotes, and almost like the like David Goggins stuff, you know what I mean? But like from a lot of different areas, just old coaches, Wooden, you know, he really likes Pop. That's his favorite coach. And then kind of like that Bobby Knight style mixed with that, so it's just like it's really like a no excuse, you know what I mean, just strict discipline program. You know, I've never, like I said, just seeing him, I've spoken to him just a handful of, like, just maybe twice, but just that is definitely the vibe I got from him. Definitely. I used to, matter of fact, even when I had no reason, I was in the basketball class and all my friends played, so I would go to practice a lot. But even the days when I had no reason to go to the gym, I would walk by the gym just to read his board and see what quote he wrote there. I used to love reading his quotes on the board, bro. And I remember what you say about him, and he has that, like, that I was trying not to use the word attitude, but he has that attitude, like, you think you know, but you don't know. Right. I didn't know that, like, I wouldn't have put it in those words, but that's the exact vibe I got from him. That's why, for that reason, is why one time I played in an open gym at Palomar, and he asked who I was, and it made me feel like I was about to go to the league, bro. Just because I knew he kind of had that, like, that eye, like, not really impressed. He's like, whatever. Right. And I didn't, I did not look like Kobe or nothing in there, but just I just remember, like I said, I was done with basketball. All my friends, all my homies, and my brother still played, but I was done with basketball. I kind of just went to open gyms because everybody else was going, and I had nothing better to do. Right. I was like, I don't want to look like a bum in here. Like, everybody's a real player. I don't want to look like a bum in here. So I'm in there, like, really playing and really focusing. I remember I scored like a few plays in a row, and then I got a steal for a layup. Yeah. I remember Chris Holloway was in the gym at the time. Okay. Yep. And I tried to play it off like I didn't hear it, but I heard Coach O'Neal ask Chris Holloway who I was. Yeah. He was like, Chris, who is that? And I was like, oh my God, Chris. Coach O'Neal wants to know who I am? I'm like, I might want to get back in shape and start playing again. And then Holloway's like, oh, that's little, you ain't never met little Mikey? That's Stefan's little brother. He's like, nah, tell him to come talk to me. And I remember I just went over there and met him. He's like, you play ball? I was like, I'd like to. I don't really play anymore. He's like, oh, man, yeah, you should stick around. Maybe try to keep playing or something like that. And I, for whatever reason, I didn't. But just like when he was like, just hearing him ask who I was like, yo, I should start back playing again if he want to know who I am. You know, it just made me feel really good just knowing how good of a coach he is and how he is with basketball, you know what I'm saying? It was like a really, really big compliment for me. A lot of people don't know, like, he started in LA. Like, I found that out when I came to his last game. Big time. He's told me so many stories about the players that were out there and like who he's played against. And he like played against Eldon Campbell and those type of guys when they were in high school, and when it was just like big time. You know what I mean? And just, he knows all the coaches up there. Whenever we go play, even when we go play in LA, he's coached a lot of the coaches. Wow. Like from LA Harbor, he coached that guy, and then it's just like, it's crazy, just all the way up and down the five. He's well known. Yeah, like coming to his final game and like just, you know, doing like quick little interviews with some of his older players. I remember there was a guy that was one of his former players that he said O'Neal coached him like 30, 35 years ago. And I'm like, what? He's like, yeah, he was my high school coach back. And I was like, yeah. And I'll never forget, the dude was like, did he have on that pink flannel? Or like a flannel and had like white hair? I think so. O'Neal said he was the best in the city. Really? And I'm looking at the guy, I'm like, this kid, said he was the best in the city, like nasty. John Stockton, like
really?
His name, he actually won like player of the city.
Right.
And I was like, what? And that's when it was Brian Shaw, all them type of kids. Yeah. I was like, yo, that's crazy.
That is crazy. I would have never thought.
Right.
That's dope though. But yeah, there was this one guy in there that said something about during a timeout, O'Neal drew up a play for him to take the game-winning shot, and he said he made the shot, and he said just the confidence that O'Neal gave it, put in him to go score the bat, said like, no, you can do this, and then he went and did it. He said that he carried that confidence with him for the rest of his life, bro. And just to hear like them type of stories, and that was 30, 35 years ago, you know what I mean? It's like O'Neal's a different type of guy, man.
No,
really,
for sure,
really special, man.
For sure. And everybody that played for him is still, you know, like Dante and all those guys and Bolton and all them, they're running the whole AAU circuit for North County, you know what I mean? And it's just like he's like a godfather in that area of just, you know, producing good basketball players, and it was cool being, you know, I'm glad I got to coach with him.
What was it like when he called you and like I told you to come coach?
I was like, man, I had missed the call.
Did he know you were at Mission Vista?
Yeah, he had knew.
Okay.
But I had missed the call. I was laying down, missed the call, and then I called him back. I was like, what's this dude? You know what I mean? Like, he's like, you want to coach? I'm like, yeah. He's like, all right, come by. We start this. I'm there.
Nice.
And then ever since then, that's when, you know, I was really like super comfortable and confident and like seeing, you know, this is something that I could see myself doing for a while.
And you did 4 years there?
Yeah, like including the COVID year. Like COVID year, we didn't really have it, so it was like 3, 4. Yeah.
So what's it like? So then, very similar question. What's it like getting the call to go to El Camino?
It was like the exact same feeling.
Really?
And I was just like, because O'Neal retired, so it was just up in the air. You know what I mean? Who was gonna get the job and everything? And it was like, man, this is my opportunity right here. You know what I mean? To just like get something solid, because, you know, I thought Hotelling was gonna get the Palomar job, but the AD went a separate way, which was super unfortunate. But I was like, man, should I take this? Should I not? And then it kind of just happened. I interviewed. They called me. And I was like, man, I'm in there. And everybody's like, yeah, of course. Like, that's the, you know, don't wait around for nothing. That's it. That's you. So here we are.
You're gonna be playing like I mean, obviously the kids are younger and not as developed, and they don't understand the game as junior college players might. But are you going to be playing like a similar brand of basketball that you guys played at Palomar?
Yeah,
like, how do you plan to play at El Camino?
For sure. That's exactly what I want to do. And I feel like it's crazy just looking at, you know, God's providence of putting me there and then back to here, just being in the JC game and college game and having that experience, and now giving it to these guys, you know what I mean? And I'm not, you know, I'm not backing down or easing or, you know what I mean, or easing my way in or nothing. It's just we're going college style. Like, I'm treating them like they're at, you know, in college.
I was going to my next question, because you see, not really so much. Like, I feel like I didn't really feel like this way before, but now, like, seeing some of the should I say that, some of like the more elite coaches and the way they go about things, they don't really mind so much about like how a player's gonna feel about the way they coach them. I do see it happen more though, because like coaches know that a guy will transfer schools if something happens, or guys will just not play, or just, you know, say something about the coach. So is that anything that crosses your mind? Or you like, nah, I'm gonna coach the way I coach, and whoever stays is who stays? Yeah,
that's exactly how I am. Because dealing with it at the JC, you know what I mean? It was just like when that transfer portal thing happened, and guys are just, I've never been, you know, that type of guy. Like, I obviously had thoughts of, like, you know what I mean, before I went to Palomar, I was thinking like I should go to Saddleback, or I should go to, you know what I mean, one of these schools who just championship, whatever. But at the same time, like, once I got to Palomar, it was just like the good fit, you know what I mean? And I got into it with O'Neal a bunch of times. Like, he's kicked me out, this and that, and I never thought like, oh, I'm gonna transfer, I'm gonna play for somebody, he's this and that, you know what I mean? it was just like I'm it's on me, and that's what I feel like these kids don't have a good sense of. Like it's just for you, bro. It's this is for you. Mm-hmm. It's not for nobody else. So like all the things that are happening to you on this journey, if you just gonna walk away, that pretty much is going to define your character. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And as a coach, I'm just like, if they want to go. I don't want them. You know what I mean? Like, that's not the type of guy I want in my program. Mm-hmm. If they're just going to give up just because, you know, mm-hmm. somebody said something wrong to them, or I yelled at them, or one of my assistants, you know what I mean? Or they didn't get playing time, or this, and that. It's just like, man, I've been at El Camino. I didn't start at Palomar. I didn't start. I've fought my way into starting and, you know, becoming the name that I left that school with. Mm-hmm. And so I just don't have any sympathy for that, and that, you know, the transferring and this and that. And obviously everybody has their different, you know, opinions and their different reasons of transferring, you know what I mean? And that's totally fine, but that specific situation to where, you know what I mean, mm-hmm. you just want to leave, you know, because it's uncomfortable, or you want to go, you know, do some KD, LeBron stuff, you know what mm-hmm. I mean? It's mm-hmm. just like, you know, that's cool, but that's going to define your character mm-hmm. when it's all said and done.
It's real. Very true, man. I never forget, I was playing basketball in either 7th or 8th grade. I was playing for my middle school, and my middle school basketball coach was cool with one of the AAU coaches in town. And so the AAU coach came to practice, and he liked me. He's like, y'all want him to come be my point guard. So I started playing with him, and it was my first time actually ever playing AAU, ever playing travel ball. Played our games up at AIU. That was actually my first time seeing it playing against Tyrone Shelley. Okay. Him and Peter Smith that went to Escondido High. Yep. They played on Hard Work together. They looked like Laker uniforms, but instead of saying Lakers, it said Hard Work. Right. I remember Shelley was a year behind me, and he got on a break and dunked. Of course, he was like 6'5" in 8th grade, but he got on a break and dunked one, and I was like, whoa, this is, yo. But anyway, I remember playing on that AAU team, and I'm excited. Like, he's telling me like what, and I had never really heard of it. I'd only heard of, for whatever reason, I had only heard of travel soccer. I never really heard of AAU and travel basketball for whatever reason. Right. So he's telling me, he's like, yeah, man, you're going to be a big fish in a small pond, the way you handle the ball and how fast you are. I'm telling you this and that, so I'm hyped. And we get out there, and it's like me and like one other guy, and he's small like I am, and so it's like we not winning no games, and it's mad hard. We playing hard, and it's just like it's just not panning out for us. You know what I'm saying? And I remember telling my dad, and my middle school team was good. Like it was a boys and girls club league, but we competed for championships in 7th or 8th grade. So I'm used to playing on a winning basketball team. Right. So I get over here and we losing, and it's not even close really. Right. You know what I'm saying? And I remember telling my dad, I'm like we lose every game, I should just quit. And I never feel like we were driving. We had just got off the freeway, and I remember my dad pulled the car over, stopped. He was like, son, if you quit now, you'll quit everything. He's like, if you start quitting things now, you'll be a quitter all your life. He was like, I know it's tough, and I know it's not fun, but if you quit now just because it's hard, it's gonna become a habit. He's like, so he's like, I understand. I remember he looked me in the face. He's like, I understand because this team is not good. Right. He was like, but you're gonna finish out the year, this season. You're gonna complete what you committed to. Right. And then afterwards, if you don't want to go back, then that's fine. But if you quit now, you're gonna be a quitter. So we're not quitting. Yep. And it's, again, it has stuck with me. There's things in my life that I probably should have let go sooner than I did. Yep. But because I've always had that mentality, like, no, you're supposed to see things through. It's absolutely always stuff.
See it through. Like this guy Jim Rohn that I listen to, he's like he has this one saying like, see it through. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, you can't plant the seed and then just expect it to, you know what I mean, grow. You know what I'm saying? Like, you gotta wait for the harvest. You gotta see it through. Mm-hmm. And it's funny, he always talks about he could talk about how people go to basketball games like in the NBA, and he's like, you start seeing the people leave, you know, and he's like, what's that all about? You know what I mean? He's like, that's no loyalty. That's no, you know, you want to beat traffic, like, you know, just see it through. That's funny. That's real though. But it's true. Mm-hmm. It's like, you gotta, you know what I mean, embrace where you're at, and, you know, in the present, and see that through. Mm-hmm. Work hard through it. Build. It's gonna make you stronger. Period. Mm-hmm. But, you know, a lot of people don't see that, and a lot of people come from, you know, different backgrounds and different minds and everything. But me personally, that's just how I, you know, see that whole transfer portal thing and all that. And for the record, I'm not recruiting anybody from any other schools. If they walk into my gym, then that's a different story. You know what I mean? They walk in and but I don't go to other schools, and I don't see guys, oh, where you go? I'll come play for me. No.
Said no tampering charges, huh? Oh, you mentioned the transfer portal. I was just talking to Coach Marshawn when I interviewed him about the transfer portal. What are your thoughts? How do you feel about the transfer portal?
Yeah, I actually caught a little bit of that, not exactly to the full extent, but yeah, I don't really like the transfer portal. Like I said, I feel like a lot of kids have different reasons for doing things, you know what I mean? But, and obviously I feel like it gets different when you get to the NBA or you get to, college, then you're like a grown man. But, you're still in high school as a kid, you know what I mean? And, things may look greener on the other side, but at the same time, I feel like I said, like you gotta stick it through. Just stick it through. You go there, play there. You know what I mean? And just compete. There's gonna be other teams that are better. There's gonna be, you know what I mean? But like it's just really, like I said, defines your character when you're going up against that. You know what I mean? I might just be biased because I've, Jordan and Bird and all them, they always talk about, you know what I mean? I wanted to beat those guys. I didn't want to join up with them. You know what I mean? That hits me every time I see that. It's on that USA team, and it's like, I wanted to go at them. I want to go at them.
I hear you.
You know what I'm saying? That's what makes you. You just play the best, and you know what I mean? Do your thing. If you lose, keep on trying. I hear.
Do you no, that's what I was gonna say. That's another thing that I felt like was much more rare when we were in high school, like people transferring around so much. It was more of it wasn't uncommon for a kid to let me not say that. It wasn't uncommon for a kid to go to a school that he didn't necessarily live by. That happened. That happened. But I feel like guys didn't. If someone transferred, it was like after their first year, and once they transferred, they stayed put, or they just didn't transfer. And I feel like transferring is a much more common thing. I actually remember one of my friends in high school, he was being recruited, not like super duper heavy or anything like that, but he was being recruited, and he was talking about transferring. And I never knew how true it was, but I remember his dad was telling him, he's like, man, these colleges ain't trying to find you around and ain't trying to follow you around and find out what school you going to next. Stay put so you can get recruited. And I was like, I don't know if it really works that way, but it makes a lot of sense.
No, it does make a lot of sense, and like you said, like back then it was like if a guy actually moved.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's when people would transfer, but other than that, everybody was pretty much staying put and loyal to their teams. But it just really became something that's, very common, and it's kind of out of control now. It really is.
I feel it.
But, it is what it is.
I was about to say it is what it is.
It is what it is.
What's some of the stuff now before we switch gears away from boxing? Who you got as the GOAT? Who's the GOAT? Who you think's the GOAT? Not necessarily out of I just pointed to these three because that's what it made me think of.
Yeah.
But just in general, who's the GOAT?
For sure. I go with Jordan. Yeah, I go with Jordan, and then Kobe, and then Bron. I just feel like it's kind of that mentality. You know what I mean? Like we talking about like the transfer into like Jordan literally came in and stayed put and just became that guy. You know what I mean? And Kobe the same way. And they just got better. They stayed where they were at and just did their thing. And I think Jordan, what separates him with me as far as like Kobe and LeBron, obviously I feel like Kobe did make it his own, but it's a lot of Jordan stuff, Jordan style, you know what I mean? And LeBron's just a totally different player from both of them. But I think it may come from my cerebral mind of basketball. I feel like Jordan made it so much easier to play the game. You know what I mean? He just made it look really easy in the spots. You know what I mean? I'm telling Isaiah Palomar about that too. Like, there's spots on the court that, it just makes it easier to score. And a lot of people are in this, Curry style and just, want to shoot deep, shoot from the parking lot, Dame Lillard, this, and that. And it's like, in that paint, baby. In that paint. That's the trenches right there. Yeah. It's almost like the further you go out, the less, you know what I mean? Like, obviously, Curry's one of the best, arguably the best point guard ever. Shooter. On top of that. But it's really far out, and it's guys in high school don't shoot like that. You know what I mean? But in the NBA, to be inside, you know what I mean? Just, I know a lot of people haven't played against NBA players, but just the size in there and having somebody guard you that close to the basket and being able to maneuver and use your pivot and fakes and, you know what I mean? And that fadeaway is just like, it's cold. And I like LeBron. I think LeBron is up there because of his mind of the game, but he's more, to me, in my opinion, he's more of like a pass first, very, very good passer, kind of almost like a Magic Johnson, and then more came into that scorer, you know what I mean, all around the court, but definitely had some struggles, I feel like, coming in with, his outside shot and picking his spots and stuff like that. But nonetheless, just outstanding physique and outstanding competitor, and the strength and physicality. I think he probably beat those guys one-on-one. You know what I mean? But just my humble opinion, I like Jordan the most.
I got you. I can tell just by the way you talk about the game. You are a basketball junkie, bro.
Oh my gosh.
You are a junkie. I can see it.
Yeah, and a lot of people really don't know that, but no, for sure. But I have that kind of personality to where if it's something I like, I really,
lock in on it.
Lock in.
I hear it. I'm the same way. I'm the same way.
Yeah.
And it's funny because I'm the exact same way, but it's weird that like I picked up a lot of things and locked in on them. Like I've been blessed to like, I don't want to sound cocky, but I'm just kind of like naturally talented, like with my hands and like with art.
Right.
Like I play the drums, I play the piano. Most instruments I pick them up. If I sit with it for long enough, I can figure it out. I figured out these cameras. Like I'm good with art and stuff like that. A lot of different cameras. Thank you, bro. I appreciate that.
This is like I told you before. Like this is your lane. Like
thank you.
You know what I mean? And I feel like right now, at least, they throw that goat around, but like you the goat at this right now.
Thank you, bro.
Like, and I really feel like a lot of other people are gonna start following, what you're doing, and I respect that.
That would be dope. Thank you. Thank you, man. I wasn't necessarily trying to toot my own horn. I was saying that to say I've tried a lot of different things, and I haven't really mastered anything. I'm trying to really lock in and master this photography thing, but I'm the same way with like you said you are. When I find something that I like, I really lock in with it. But just for me, I'll lock in with it for like a certain amount of time and be like, oh, I'm kind of done with this. Let me find something else to go lock in. I used to make music. I locked in on that. Before that, it was poetry. I locked in on that. Now, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So this is like the thing that I'm locked in on. And I'm like, I'm gonna figure out how to master
right
this.
Right here, baby. Yeah, this is you. This your lane.
Thank you, bro. I appreciate it. Yep. What do you do, like being such a basketball junkie, a coach? You watch a lot of film and all that. What's some of the things that you do? Like to kind of take a break from basketball. I know you make music as well. What's some of the other things you do to?
Recently, well, not recently, like a little while ago, but more so when the pandemic hit, I really got into golf. Like, yeah, I love golf. Nice. Like, man, it's hurt my pockets, but at the same time, like I like going to play. I play with Ant Bolden a lot. One of my boys, Benny, we go play and that's something like right now that I'm trying to, like you say, master. Like I've watched, tons of videos on that, how to fix my driver and how to, you know what I mean?
Nice.
I'm like obviously not a scratch golfer. I'm not pars and birdies, I'm bogeys and, I have an 8 here and there, but I feel like that's something that is become my getaway. Yeah.
Oh, so you like full on hit the golf course, not just the driving range. You hitting the golf course.
I hit the course. I hit the course. Yeah, golf and chess. I play a lot of chess.
It makes a lot of sense. You being such a cerebral basketball player, you gotta be cerebral to play chess.
But it's really hard with chess because a lot of people don't play. So it's really tough for me to engage in a chess game. Like I used to go to this cafe before the pandemic hit, and I would play some really good players there. But then that kind of fell off, and now I just, I play on my phone all the time. But I haven't really played with somebody in a while. But
I was about to say, you should put your players on. I don't know if the kids today really got the patience.
They talk it. They talk like, oh, what you play? I play. But it's like a lot of people, they say, I play chess. Yeah, I was in the chess club and this and that. But it's like, you don't play chess, bro.
Otto Landry, who went to Torrey Pines, he's a big chess guy.
Really?
I interviewed him. He said that's one of the things he does.
Oh, man.
So I don't know like what app you on and everything, but you might want to tap into him. He said he plays a lot of chess.
Oh yeah. I'm definitely with that. I have to see what's up with Otto on the board.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, a couple players. I played a couple players surprisingly last year at Palomar.
Okay.
One of them was pretty decent, but like we'll play, and then after that you won't hear about it from him. I'll beat him, and then it'll just be like, oh yeah, I'm good, coach. But yeah,
so you also just recently put an album out, right?
Yeah, I did.
How's that feel to put that out?
It was good. It was I feel like it was kind of my first complete album. I feel like to where I kind of touched on everything I wanted to, and production wise and melodically and bar wise, I feel like it was really good.
That was really good. I enjoyed it a lot. I've only listened to it. I mean, one song I got on repeat. I did DM you about it. I've had that on repeat since I heard it, but I've only listened to the complete project one time all the way through. But that one song has been on a loop ever since.
Right. And a lot of people have been talking about that one. Like that's the one that everybody likes.
Okay.
So I really like that one. But that one was it's a funny backstory behind that because.
What's the name of the project for all those?
It's called Keep Going.
There we go. Okay.
Yeah. Keep going, and that's just falls back on keep going. My perseverance.
See it through.
Yeah, see it through. Just keep on going. It's life is tough. You know what I mean, and nobody has all the answers, and that's the beautiful part of it. You know what I'm saying? It's just like keep going, just keep going. But I was recording that song, and my boy Rev, who records me, he was like, man. He was like, let's just try something different. Because usually I do my stuff before I go, and then I'll record like 3 songs, and then, I kind of record like that. But we was just chilling, and he was like, just freestyle to it. You know what I mean? And then I was kind of like freestyling, and then I started just doing cadences, and he was like, yeah, just keep doing that. Just keep doing that. And literally it was like a song full of cadences, and I just put the words. Like he played it back, I had recorded, and I just filled in words with the cadences. And it came out like that, and he was just like, man, he was like, that was dope, bro. He was like, that was different. He was like, but that was dope.
Super dope.
Yeah.
Super dope.
Yeah.
How long you been making music?
Man, I've been seriously making my own music since I was like 8th grade, middle school kind of, but one of my uncles taught me how to rap when I was 3, and he told me say this and that, and I said it, and I was that little kid who going around say that. Oh, okay. So like that was and that's how everybody seen me when I was growing up. It's just like the rapper, but then basketball obviously took over, but then just had to try to balance it, you know what I mean, and I still try to, and I battle with myself every day on whether I should just kind of put it on the back burner, which may be the move, but for now I kind of just keep going. I just like some days I'll get in the car and I'll listen to a beat and I'm like, oh man, I'll just start writing, you know what I mean, and some days I'll just be like, it's whatever.
I made music all through high school, and I think for like, I stopped actually. Okay, I graduated 2006. I started making music, I think, in 8th grade, and I stopped in 2009 after I moved back from LA. But from time to time, like music was really like my first passion, honestly, before sports.
Right.
Because I grew up in church, and so nonstop music at church.
Absolutely.
And for me, like I was like I had to sit there, and I was in church every Sunday. Like my family was in church every Sunday.
I love it.
And I had to sit next to my mom. And I didn't want to sit next to I'm a mama's boy, don't get that twisted. Yeah, I didn't want to sit next to my mom like all church, you know what I mean? And so like, and the drums caught my eye one day, and I asked my mom, I was like, I want to learn how to do that. Can I sit next to him and watch him do that? And she was like, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So that was my way of like not having to sit next to my mom, and it was honestly what I wanted to do though. Mm-hmm. But just so watching a drummer for like 2 years, and I finally got my shot, and I've been playing the drums I think since like 3rd grade.
Yeah.
So yeah, music was really my first passion.
Man,
and from time to time, I always think like, I got plenty of friends that say you should come to the studio, come sit in on a session, and I never do just because I be so busy. But there's so many times I be like, man, I should get back into it.
No,
I was fairly decent at it. I don't think I was ever as good as you are at it now, but I was fairly decent at it. I'd be like, man, I should get back into it, man.
Yeah, it's definitely, that's another escape, and what always comes to me is just like, man, like on the other side of basketball, I really the way my life was, and not still is definitely different, but it was just like a form of therapy. It's just it's a great escape for therapy, just writing and creating, and just it's just super therapeutic to me. And that's one thing, a lot of people, I always think like, man, maybe these parents aren't gonna really enjoy this rapper coaching their kids, or you know what I mean. And that's why Palomar was kind of different, because it's like these are adults, you know what I mean. So I was like doing my thing, but now I'm thinking like, dang, now I'm dealing with kids, and it's kind of different, even though they have the parental advisory or whatever, it's still music just has a big influence. And and obviously I'm not talking about killing nobody, right. Nothing like that. I'm more of like a lifestyle genre. You know what I mean? I just talk about stuff I go through, been through it, how to get through it, whatever.
But now you gotta, when you work with kids and when you coach kids, you definitely gotta be cognizant of it. Right. As a broadcaster, I'm cognizant of it. Like I have other shows outside of this show. Like I have a couple podcasts that I do. And when I'm on those shows, and those shows are on the same channel as this show, it's on the same YouTube channel, you know what I'm saying? And so a lot of times I think, and I'm always conscious that I could think like a parent might be watching one of my videos and a little side thing, one of my other shows might pop up and be like, oh, let's see what Michael Flix is up to. And they click on it and see something that's like, this is the dude that was sitting down with my son? Absolutely not. You know what I'm saying? So I'm definitely always conscious of stuff.
Right,
you gotta be careful, you know what I'm saying? I'm always myself. You gotta be yourself, but you gotta, just check it a little bit.
And luckily it's been, a couple parents I've talked to now, they've obviously heard my stuff on, somehow their kids listen, one of my players or whatever, and just like, man, I didn't know you made music, that's good for you, this and that. They really support it, you know what I mean? So that's been a blessing, but definitely for more of a time's sake now too, it's kind of something that I feel like, I'm getting older. It's, I should maybe think more about this locked in, you know what I mean? Because you look at coaches, it's just like you looking at a good 20 if you do it right, you know what I'm saying? And just, you know what I mean, stay disciplined and do a good job. You're looking at a good 20, so. And I'm sorry. No, it's all good. And with music, it's more like a passion and risk, like you always have in your mind, like, man, this is just gonna blow. This is gonna be it. This is my ticket. We getting out the hood. We getting, you know what I mean? We about to be chilling. But it's definitely, it's cool. I like doing music, but definitely coaching has been something that's been taking me to a different.
Probably gonna start to take up much more of your time at this point.
Absolutely, absolutely.
For sure.
Yeah.
That's dope, man. I'm glad you came in today, man.
Yes, sir.
Like I said, I just from someone that lived 30 minutes away from you and played against you a couple of times. You're someone that I feel like I knew a little bit about, but just obviously like in scheduling the interview, I did a little bit more research and learned more things. But I definitely learned a hell of a lot more having you here on the show, man. I'm glad you came, man. And congratulations again on the job, man.
Sir.
Can't wait to see what you guys do over there,
Yes,
bro.
sir. I appreciate it. Make sure you come in.
Oh, yeah, I'll be there. Oh, yeah, I got you for sure.
Make sure you come get them clips, man. We coming.
Sure.
We coming.
Camino, I got y'all. Don't even trip. I got y'all. And speaking of that, man, it's been a few, like, and it's always, like, respectfully, I don't think anybody's, like, actually bitter or actually feels the way. But from time to time, a couple players, a couple coaches, like, what's up, man? Show us some love. We go come down to our gym.
Right.
I'm like, man, and see, matter of fact, let me take this time to say this. When I first started out, I love everybody. Everybody knows that. When I first started out, I was going and could just go anywhere because I wasn't getting booked, and so I was just like, it was just pull up all the schedules and pick a game to go to.
That I like, yeah.
Exactly.
That's gonna be popular.
And I still have the opportunity to do that because I'm not booked every single night,
right?
But I'm booked for most of the season, and so a lot of the games that I'm at now, I've been booked to be there, and so people think like, oh, like not many people, but I'm sure people might assume that I might favor a team that's really good because I'm at a lot of their games. When it's like, nah, a parent on the team booked me to be there, or the team booked me to be there. You know what I'm saying?
Right. So, and one of the parents told me today because I told her I was coming up here. She's like, "Yeah, I'd seen him. I told him he better come. He better come down."
Talking about. I just she was at the camp. Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
But yeah, man, I feel like really that's like maybe something you should like you could have like a KUSI, right. Not stepping on those toes, but like a Michael Flix KUSI, like you have another guy that's at this game and covering that game.
That's my exact plan, bro. That's my exact plan. When I first started,
I can see it,
when I first started, it's very interesting that you said that. When I first started, I was telling one of my other friends who's a cameraman as well, I was telling him my goal, and it's going to take a lot, and it's going to take a lot of time as well, a lot of manpower and a lot of time, but my goal is to be the PPR of basketball.
Yep.
It's like
right.
KUSI's got that locked. And also along with that, there's a lot of other like platforms and entities in San Diego that also do a really, really good job of covering basketball. And I feel like of covering football.
Right.
There's a lot of entities outside of KUSI that cover and do a
I've
great
been
job
seeing
at it.
Yeah.
And do a great job at it. But I feel like
the rankings and all that stuff. And all,
I feel like basketball is missing that. Full-Time Hoops does an amazing job. And KUSI, they don't only do basketball. Football. They go to basketball games as well. And Full-Time Hoops.
It's more, I want to say like basketball is like a branch of, you know what I mean, PPR. Because it started with just football. They were just football. Then they started doing a little bit of basketball. But, yeah, PPR, that's what, I remember watching that when I was young. Reggie Bush and all those guys. Like,
Yep, for sure. But, yeah, that's my goal, man. To the same way there's a space for football in San Diego where, like, on Friday night you turn this on and you can see everything that happened. My goal is to be to the space where, like, you can click on my channels and you know what happened with basketball in San Diego.
Absolutely.
That's my ultimate goal.
Yep.
For sure.
That's it.
Thanks again for coming in, bro.
Yes,
I appreciate you, man. It's been another episode of On the Mic with Michael Flix, man. I appreciate y'all tapping in. Until next time, take care.